partner talking to us about, or facilitating, he's not talking to us, he's engaging us in conversation about my leadership in Rotary. The cool thing about RLI is I learn something new every time. And so we're going to learn cool stuff today, guys. So thank you. Thanks for joining us. Bruce?
Yep, I'm ready. And Jeff,
right.
if you'll bring up the first page there.
Of the manual?
Yeah. I just want to point out some things on that first page. The page where it says My Leadership in Rotary, it's page 4. There we go. Thank you, Jeff. All right, good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to lead off this morning. And we're going to, I think it's a great idea that we're going to start out with leadership because, you know, I like this. I wanted you to see this page. You have it also in your book, in your guide. But let's take a look at this. Right underneath the header there, it says, as a Rotarian, I am by definition a leader. Now, I've had people tell me, said, I don't want to lead. I just want to help. And I said, well, that's good because you are leading. We had a session here a number of months ago with faculty members, people that are facilitators. And there was one from, I think she was from Colorado. She says, I don't really want to lead. I just want to be part of my club. And I said, but look, see what it says right here? It says, you're a leader, you know, and she thought it meant she had to be the president of her club, which is something she didn't want to do. But we're all leaders. So let's take a look. Session goals today. What we want to do is we want to explore the characteristics of leadership. We want to discuss what motivates people in a volunteer or civic organization, because that's what, you know, those are the people we need to get to do things as leaders. And we're going to examine our own leadership style. If you look there on the right, you can see there's some online materials you can look for. The basics for effective leadership are really pretty basic. That's a Rotary publication as well, the 12 Leadership Essentials for the 21st century. So before we get started on the first question here, I think it'd be nice if we kind of had an idea about the definition. What is leadership? Can anybody tell me? Raise your hand, and I'm not going to be able to see. There we go. Raise your hand. I want to hear from our participants, not necessarily the faculty members or our observers. I want to hear from the participants. What do you think leadership is? What's the definition? Karen, I saw you raise your.
Being a guide to help get the job done. Being the person that assists everybody comes together to get the job accomplished. Okay. I think that's what leadership is.
Okay. Anybody else? When I say raise your hand, does everybody know how to do that electronically?
Yeah.
You go down to reaction at the bottom of your page. At the very bottom, it says raise your hand. And when you do that, you see a hand there. Okay, very good. And I see Donna. And then we'll go to Brad after that.
For me, leadership is, I believe in servant leadership. So it's working alongside, showing how to lead.
Oh, very good, Donna. We're going to talk about servant leadership here in a minute. Andy.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of having the vision and the accountability and direction and be able to share that with other people successfully.
Super. And Brad.
But things have already been said. Inspire, direct, and walk alongside your team.
Good deal. Okay, super job. Rachel.
I think too, it's partly about knowing who your group is. Like the way I'm a leader in my family is way different than I'm a leader at my job, which is way different than I'm a leader at Rotary. So like just kind of knowing who your audience is, like Karen said before, like getting the job done. Well, whatever the job is in my family is going to be different than, you know, being an administrator at my school. So there's different ways of being a leader, even though you're the same person.
Cool. One more, and then we'll press on. Tanya.
I believe it's creating a culture of transformation, influence, making changes. And I agree with the young lady just finished the previous Rotarian. I'm a servant leader, so servant leadership is also very important. I think you need to be bright, bold, and brave. I use the 3 B's, and have a hunger for solving issues and creating panaceas for different scenarios. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are all good thoughts. Oh, by the way, when you're done raising your hand, you have to go back and click on it again for it to go away, or I'll think you want to raise your hand all the time. Okay. Okay, so, well I'd just like to share with you one of the definitions that I've come across it's very simple, but I think it's very poignant. And that is that leadership is getting things done through people. There's a difference between, leadership, I think, is all about people. Management, on the other hand, is about things. In the Air Force, I spent 30 years in the U.S. Air Force. And one of the things I learned is you lead people, you manage things. And so that's what leadership is all about. So my first question for you guys is, what is the difference between leadership in a business versus leadership in Rotary? Again, raise your hand if you got an answer. What's the difference? Leadership in business versus leadership in Rotary. We have one more person that I can see.
Trying to raise my hand. I can't find the.
Yeah.
Right. There it is. It's
okay.
Right in front
at the very bottom of.
Yeah, I see it now. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Businesses and Rotary have different goals. A business's primary goal, at least in the capitalist system, is to make a profit. So your leadership ultimately is directed by making money and saving money. Leadership in the Rotary context is about service to one another and to the broader community and to the world at large. So you're appealing to different human instincts in each case.
Yeah, I like that. That's very good. That's a huge difference. I like the way you described it. In a business, the whole idea of having a business is to stay, the business needs to stay in business. And as a result, you're going to pay people to do their job. That doesn't mean that you can't, that there's no leadership involved, that they have to do what you tell them. We'll be talking about that in a little bit, but it certainly is when you have volunteers, that's a whole different ballgame, and then we're going to talk about that as well. So what are the characteristics, I think, of good leaders?
Bruce, Laura raised her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who did?
Laura.
Okay, go ahead, Laura.
I was just going to say, Bruce, there's also a tremendous amount of similarities between business leadership and Rotary leadership, because you're still trying to motivate people, you're still trying to mentor people at all different levels to get them to another level, and you're still trying to create a set of common goals so that people want to work toward those goals, and you have a common ethos, a common set of values that you're trying to support, because that's really the core of any business, Rotary, or anything.
Got it. Very good. Thank you very much. So there is a difference. If you're in a business, you're getting paid. That's one thing. But when you're working for a nonprofit, when you're part of a group like a Rotary Club, you're not getting paid. You're there for a different reason. And so there's different ways that we motivate people, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So you've all seen leadership, right? Both probably in the business world and also in Rotary. What do you think, and Jeff, this is where if you could be my scribe, I would appreciate this. What are the characteristics of good leaders? Now I won't be able to see everybody. So Nancy.
I want to say one of them is that you have to have like positive outlook. I mean, because you're the one who sets the tone. So if you go in kind of like, this is a great project, we're going to get everybody going. I don't know, like you really have to motivate with that attitude. Because I've been to some projects where the leaders just kind of like, oh, I'm here and here we go. And it just kind of, everybody's just kind of like, nah, okay, we're just here to do our part and move on. But if you walk in with a good attitude, let's get it done, that sets it and it gets everybody going in that mood of, yes, we're here and wonderful, here we go.
Good. Laura, I think you were the second person to put your hand up.
Honesty and integrity are always the top characteristics of leaders in any survey from employees.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, honesty and integrity. Very good. Donna.
Believe in the project.
Believe in the project. Okay. Lead or believe? I'm sorry.
Believe.
Believe in the project.
You're in 100%.
Absolutely. All in, as we say. Michael.
Patience and
Patience.
listening to the group, not just.
Oh, I
being
like
a
that. We're going to be talking
dictator.
about that a lot. Let's listen to what our people have to say. I like that. Steve.
I think that leadership through example as much as through words is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, just don't do it. Just don't tell us about it. You got to walk the talk, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good job. Anybody else? These are all good things. Like that. All right. So keep an eye on this because we may refer back to it later on.
Bruce, there's some more hands up.
Oh, okay. I can only see 4 or 5 people at a time, and there we go. Okay, Carolyn.
I think that good leadership also has to, these are all great, but also you have to be compassionate. Everybody is coming into these projects, into business, into volunteer positions from all different angles. Everyone's got different weights on their shoulders. And you have to really try to put yourself in their shoes and be accommodating and compassionate.
Very good. Thank you, Carolyn. Tanya?
Oops. Hi. Yes, I think you must be clear. You have to set clear objectives because if you don't, your leadership could go left really quickly. So I think clarity and objectivity are certain characteristics of a great leader.
Very good. Okay, be clear. All right. Honesty, clarity, and objectivity. Objectivity. Okay. Have I missed anyone? Remember, once you've spoken, go ahead and take your hands down. Jeff, do you see anybody else with their hands up?
No.
Okay, super. Thank you. These are all great ideas. We'll probably be coming back to these later.
Bruce, I think Tanya might have her hand up.
Still up. Tanya already spoke.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there we go. Still up from that. Okay, so leadership styles differ. There's different, and I'm sure that most of us have, if you've had any training at all in leadership, there's many different leadership styles. And what I want to do is I want to discuss, I think, 5 of them that are in your book: participative leadership, situational, transactional, transformational, and servant. And I think Donna mentioned the servant leadership. Someone did, I know, earlier on. I'm going to just really quickly, rather than have you do this, because we only have 45 minutes and we have a breakout session we want to do. So I'm going to tell you what these are, and then I want to hear back from you what leadership style. And well, I don't want to give it away. I have something that we're going to do with you guys to find out what your leadership styles are. So if we start with participative leadership. Okay, participative leadership seeks to involve other people. In other words, the participative leader is not going to make a decision. And by the way, if we haven't already said this, leadership is all about decisions. Okay? If there were no decisions to be made, we wouldn't need a leader, would we? Yeah, but the problem is there's decisions to be made all the time, especially in Rotary. So So the participative leader is going to make sure that if there's a decision to be made, everybody that's going to be affected by that decision has a word, has some part of determining how we're going to do it. Okay, that's participative, as opposed to autocratic. Has anybody ever had an autocratic leader that they had to deal with? I see people raising their hands. What was that like? Anybody? Carolyn, I saw you raise your hand. What's it like to have an autocratic leader?
It's crushing. Your voice is not heard.
Yeah, the autocratic leader, even they might play the game and say, hey, I want to know what you're, but then they're going to turn around and do whatever they want to do. You know, they don't listen to what you have to say, or they don't even ask you what they want to say. They just do it. The exact opposite of the autocratic leader is the participative leader. Everybody has a voice in what's going on. And the beauty about that is when the decision is made, now you have what? Buy-in.
Buy-in, yep.
Absolutely. Everybody that, you know, the people that are actually going to do whatever it is you're going to do with this decision had a part to say about it. So that's the buy-in. So that's the participative leader. Situational leadership. Anybody familiar with that? Just raise your hand. I'm not going to ask you. Situational leadership. Paul Hersey. Ever got a chance to? I had a chance to meet him when I was in the Air Force. We taught. I used to teach at the Air Force's Squadron Officer School, which is part of their advanced education course for officers, for junior officers in this case. And we taught situational leaderships there. And Paul Hersey, who developed that, we had him speak to us almost every class. And basically, situational leadership says that your leadership style with your people changes based on their needs. Okay, when you get a brand new person that comes into your club, for example, let's talk about Rotary. Brand new person comes in, they don't know anything about Rotary. You know, how are you going to lead them? Well, I think we need to be fairly, as Paul would say, we need to be very directive early on. Directive meaning, you know, we're going to tell you what you need to do and give, you know, hopefully you're going to join us. You're going to be in a committee. This is what you need to do. As our members become a little bit more acquainted and more closely related to what they're doing, then we become coaches. Okay. In other words, they still aren't quite there yet, but they're doing better. Now our leadership style changes. Likewise, as they get more and more comfortable with what they're doing, all of a sudden they think they can do anything, but they really can't yet. Then we're supporting them, but we're also, you know, reminding them of what we want them to do in the club. And then finally, when they master whatever the skill is we want them to do, or whatever the tasks are they have responsible for, we can sit back and just we can just delegate to them. And at that point, you know, they're on their own, and we can just thank them for what they're doing. So the situational leadership changes according to you know, the stages that your subordinates go through, right? Transactional. Now I have to look this up.
Bruce, I
Yes.
just, if I could interrupt, I
Go
just
ahead,
wanted to say that I view situation as being even broader than just the people on the team. It's the environment, the task at hand, deadlines and so forth can cause you to, you know, maybe be more direct or more.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
You get, you know, if you only have one person on your, let's say you only have one person on your membership team, okay? Your membership committee, you got one person, they're brand new. The last membership team, they all left at the same time. So, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, we've got people that want to come in, and these people need to know what they're doing. You're going to have to give them some help early on. You're going to have to be more directive. So I entirely right, Steve. Transactional really means that what we're talking about, I had to do a little research on this. It occurs when followers are moved to complete their roles as agreed with a leader in exchange for a reward. Okay. So in the business world, the reward is usually, you know, money. Yeah. But what are the rewards in Rotary? Anybody? What are the rewards?
Recognition.
Part payoff.
Yeah. Okay, Steve, what were you saying?
Recognition.
Recognition. That is the key. The recognition. When somebody does something good for you in your club, let's recognize that. If they do something good at the district level, let's recognize that as well. You know, that's the main way that we can get our people motivated, is by recognizing what they do. So the transactional leader, though, they focus on goals. This is not necessarily a bad thing, a bad way to do it, but and it works. They focus on goals. They use rewards and, unfortunately, in some cases, punishments for motivation. And they tend to be reactive in nature. In other words, the people that are going to do the job are reacting to what the leader says. Okay. Transformational, on the other hand, is just the opposite. Here, the purpose of a transformational leader is to move followers to awareness about what is important and away from their own self-interests. So a transformational leader is going to focus on a vision. Ooh, you'll probably hear that. Okay, if you haven't already heard that before. What's the vision of your club? Where do you want to be 3 to 5 years from now? You know, and it uses charisma and enthusiasm for motivation, and generally is proactive. In other words, you're motivating the people to go out and find things to do. You're not telling them what to do. They're doing it on their own. That's the transformational leader. Finally, and Donna, was it you that mentioned the servant leadership?
Yeah.
Yep. Servant leaders, very closely related to transformational, I think. They put the needs of their employees or their members, if you're a Rotarian, they put the needs of those people first. They focus on developing individuals who perform their best. Okay. Common traits of servant leaders. They're very good listeners. Oh, have you ever had a club president who didn't really listen to what you had to say? Not a good situation there. They have empathy. They consider the situation from your point of view, not theirs. Awareness. It's situationally aware of issues that involve ethics and values. Strategically aware of how the individual actions affect the outcomes of whatever it is you're trying to do. There's selflessness. You know, put others first, always encouraging. They're open to new ideas. In other words, anything goes. Tell me about what you want to do. It may seem way off base, but let's see. Let's try it. And they lead by example. Get into the trenches and work alongside your employees. You want them to get to, you know, to follow you. That's the way to get them to do it. You know, be part of the team. So those are the different types of leaderships. Now, I've got a poll question for you that Jeff's going to bring up, and it's going to ask you, which of the following leadership styles do you feel best fits you? And here's an important note. You can select more than one. So put a check mark by any of these styles that you think fits you. And then when you're done, hit submit.
Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay.
Okay, let's see what the results are. Aha. I got participative, very high number there. That was numero uno. Transformational, what came in second, and a very close third was servant, with situational and transactional picking up the rear. All right. Remember, all of these work. Just remember, you just have to make the decision, and a combination of these, I think, even works better. You just make the decision if you're a leader in your club, and you do not have to be the president. You can be a committee chair. You can be a person. You can be on the committee. If you have a voice, you can lead. All right. So we have a section here that says, "Are good leaders born, or can they be taught?" You know, RLI says that while there are some certain innate qualities a person brings to leadership, but they feel that the leadership can be taught in the sense that a person can improve his or her leadership skills. Now, what I want to do is we're going to have a breakout session. And here's what we want to do. And Jeff, did you see my note? I think we can go with 4.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. We're going to break you into 4 groups. One of the faculty members will be with you as well, but they're not there to lead you in this. This is yours. This is yours to do. They're just there to listen and ask, answer any questions. But here's what I want you to do. From your own club experiences, I want you to describe the best club presidents that you've had. What were the characteristics of the best club president that you ever had? For you new people, for those of you who haven't been Rotary that long, what are your expectations of a club president that you think that they should be doing? Okay. So I'd like for you to, we're going to break you into groups. You'll have 10 minutes to discuss this. Please have somebody be a scribe and take notes and then report back. Okay. So Jeff, whenever you're ready to do this, and again, once more, describe the best club presidents. What were the characteristics of the best club presidents you've seen? Or if you're new, that you would like to see in your club president. Right, so you'll have 10 minutes to discuss, and then please pick somebody to brief back to us when you come back.
All right, here we go.
Hi there. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Oh, what a great group.
Before we start, Sunny, I want to know why you have roses in your background. You got a present. What was the occasion?
Actually, I have to tell you, my husband is spoiling me. He makes sure I always have roses.
Ooh.
And for no reason. I know it's the most amazing thing. I've never been in a relationship like this in my life.
Could I borrow him, please?
Certainly, he's pretty great.
Get some roses for my wife. Yeah, I wouldn't mind diving in here on this first question about president.
Should we pick a scribe first?
I'm sorry?
Should we pick a scribe first? Just to, so we
I can go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Thanks, Rochelle. Okay, Andy, take it.
So we've been, in the time that I've been a Rotarian, I've been now, I guess, with 3 presidents. And I have to say, most recently, Yasser, our current, has been absolutely amazing during this crazy challenge time of COVID. He is the most adaptive, creative thinking. I mean, instead of sitting back and saying, oh, we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't meet and we can't, he just said, let's figure out ways to continue doing what we do in the community, continue to fellowship as best we can, and let's make something out of this, as opposed to just, I don't say the word whining, but just doing nothing because it's so difficult. He has come up with the most creative possible ideas and has done a lot to make our Zoom meetings fun, get people laughing and smiling, and just kind of stay on track during a time when it is probably the most difficult time in history for a Rotary Club to stay on track. So we've had minimal losses in membership because of it, and we've even brought in new members during this time. And I gotta hand it to Yasser and give him an A+ for creativity and adaptiveness.
That's great. Thanks, Andy. And we've seen the results because you also share in the newsletter. Carolyn.
So I've been part of the club for 6 years. So we've had 6 presidents, and they all bring different qualities. So, and I've been on the board for 4 years. So seeing how each of them work, some are very administrative. So we got our bylaws done, our 5-year plan done. They were not the most inspiring leaders, but we got stuff done. Myself, I love our fun leaders. We have our hands in everything on occasion. And so really each one of them is different, but they're so devoted to Rotary that stuff happens all the time, and we continue to go forward.
So that might be the salient characteristic of a best president. Very nice. Thanks. Anyone else? Who else?
I guess I'll talk. Our current president is fun, very active, and for the first time, we have this past president that likes to take charge every time. Even when I was president, he took over the meeting. Well, I like that she actually kind of knocks him down and says, hey, I'm in charge here, you know, but does it in a fun way. So you gotta have someone that's fun, likes to get stuff done, and then also is gonna lead with, you know, hey, knocking down the people that try and take charge. The one thing I also like, our current president, she came up during COVID, and she's like, you know what? When we get back together, I want to be president again. So she's our president 2 years in a row. She decided, you know, I did it while we were doing Zoom, and I want to do it live meetings too. And we're like, we love it. You're a president for 2 years. So someone that steps up.
Great.
That's great. So Doreen and Jeff, you're allowed to share too.
Well, the best president, I think, given the circumstances, is someone that Doreen and I both know very well. We were in the same club. We were going through a few years of struggle. And give me 1 second, I need to assign someone to a room. Okay. The club is going through a struggle. And the person who was set up to be the president that next year kind of developed a plan to, if you want to say it, stop the hemorrhaging. And that was Dave Seeley, Doreen. And Dave, I've known Dave for years. He's a great leader. He could have led the club when the club was doing really well, but he understood the circumstances and he realized that his role was to stabilize the club, and he did a great job. And I was the president-elect, so I observed him kind of getting things to a more stable state, and obviously it was a big help to me. But given the circumstances, Dave was extremely effective and did a very good job of keeping the club, putting the club back in a good posture.
And what would you say was the characteristic or quality that allowed him to do that?
Focus.
Focus.
Dave is very focused, and he projected a notion of focus to the membership. It's like, we can't just keep doing what we're doing. It's not working. He's very assertive, and he's very well liked. So the club accepted pretty much unanimously his view, like, this is what we're going to need to do. And he had a lot of buy-in, a lot of support. He didn't set lofty goals because we weren't in a state to set lofty goals, but he set reasonable goals that put us back on solid footing. So
Thank you. That's really interesting.
Do you want me to share something,
I
Sunny?
do. Yes, we all
Well,
do.
you know, I've been in Rotary for 25 years, so everything just kind of blends all together. I don't want to limit my comments just to club presidents, though they're really important. And, you know, Jeff made a good point about Dave Seeley. Dave Seeley was my boss for many years, so I enjoyed working for him as well. But I think about the people that have been so influential in leadership positions in Rotary that have influenced and impacted my life. And I think what good leaders do is they really care, and they make Rotary about all of the other people and not themselves. So they have this passion to serve, and they have humility, and they have the ability to draw out the best in other people. And I think about a time when I was new to Rotary, and my entire Rotary world existed at the club level. And there were district leaders that saw potential in me and invited me to do things that I didn't think I was ready to do. And they kind of drew me out and got me more involved. And they made me do it myself, but they were there if I needed to lean on them. So I just thought that was great.
That is great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rochelle, faithful scribe, what would you like to add?
I've only been a Rotary member just under a year. But I'm thinking about leaders that I've enjoyed working with, or I'm currently working with, more broadly. And I think the thing that I admire most about the principal at the school that I work at is that she just is so optimistic and just really wants to bring people up. But her one fatal flaw is that she's just so disappointed when people are like regular human beings and like can't quite rise to her level of positivity. And so bless her heart, like she really has such a good outlook on things, but every now and then she's like, oh, that the same person keeps bringing me, bumming me out, or the same person underperformed or whatever. So she just has such great hopes for people. But sometimes she just gets a little, sad, but she's a great leader. She loves our students. She loves our community, so like, there's a lot of things that I super admire about her. But I was thinking about what Randy said too. Like, I also happen to be part of the PTA, and they also had to make adjustments for leadership for the year coming up. I mean, with school shut down and people not being allowed on campus and parents not knowing how to be involved, they have said, we get it. Like, as a national organization, as a national leader, they didn't put term limits anymore on their leaders. They like relaxed their expectations on fundraising. So like, I appreciated that from like a national leader to be like, okay, we get it. We're going to allow repeats. We're going to allow some relaxation on some typically standard expectations. And so being able to allow people to continue the best they can and to be flexible and to have, a bigger game plan and like some of the things that have already been said. So, so I've been noticing that too. And now I'm going to.
Thanks, Jeff.
You got it. Let me close all the rooms.
We're back. Any little static there. Okay, great. I hope everybody had a good breakout session. Now let's hear from a representative from each one of those. I was in session number 1, and Deborah Simon, she was our note taker. She's our scribe, and she's going to report back. Okay, Deb.
Okay. We had some good discussions, good ideas, so I'll present those. One of the things is that the leadership should really be quite positive in how they present things. Also be able to challenge people to think beyond the usual type of things that you're doing or ways of approaching things, getting people engaged, motivated. The whole issue of acknowledging people. If someone is I'm just going to throw this in, if someone becomes a Paul Harris Society member, let the people know it. It motivates other people to consider and think about those things. Another important aspect is if the leadership can have a sense of humor and convey that, and it really brings a club together to be able to have a good laugh. And let's see. One thing that was emphasized was if a leader knows everybody by name and can address them by their names, include everyone, no one is left behind. Be sure to reach out to those that might be reticent not to participate, just to saddle up beside and encourage them. develop a vision that can be supported by almost everyone in the club. And then to be compassionate. And I mentioned that I saw this in my club. We had the right president for the COVID year, a man who is very compassionate, who has a heart, who feels people's pain. And he was just an excellent president because of that characteristic that is innate in him.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Round of applause. Good job. All right, session 2. Who's our spokesperson for session 2?
I'm not sure what number my session was. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I think we're 4, Kelly.
Okay, thank you.
I think we were number 2, maybe.
Okay.
2 was Arturo's group.
We were 3.
Okay.
So for Arturo's group, we had our group makeup was 4 of the people had been in Rotary 4 years or less, and 1 28 years. And for those that had been fairly new to Rotary, it was very consistent among all of us that the quality of leadership that they recognized the most in being helpful was participative. Finding ways to get those new members engaged and involved, and to be very aware of that as a leader, that if they have a sponsor for that new member that is not a participative member, that the leadership team helps and engages that person to walk alongside them so that they can enrich their Rotary experience at a much greater level. For the person who'd been in Rotary for a long time, what he appreciated for an older club and a larger club, it is very easy to fall into long-term structure. And he appreciated the leader that was willing to break the mold and maybe step not across the line, but up to the line to enrich the experience. So whether it's let's try some new service projects or change things up a little bit so it's not the exact same meal at the exact same table every single time. So by switching things up and being flexible and listening to the members so that they can introduce new things, as well as keeping some of the old things that the old line school would continue to enjoy.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. Well done. Yay. Okay, good job. All right. Okay, session 3. Who was in the other? Was in the number 3?
That was me.
Okay, Rochelle.
Or I'm the scribe for that group. Okay, so some of the talking points that came up were amazing during COVID, being adaptive and using a lot of creative thinking to make something out of this mess and to stay on track. One of the points made was that each president or each leader has worked differently, but using their skills, they each solve different tasks. So some people focus more on socializing and relationships, while others focus more on like the business end of things or the budget or different documents that are missing. But the commonality was that they were all so devoted to Rotary. Humor came up. Steps up, knows what to do, and then does it. In the midst of problems, maintains focus and to help the group become or stay stable, sets reasonable goals, draws out the best in people, encouraging people to rise up, flexibility, and loving people and expecting the best for them.
Outstanding. Thank you, Rochelle. Good job. Okay, last but not least, group 4.
I was a scribe for our group. We had some really good discussion. We talked a lot about recognition and how it is important to be recognized by leaders. We also talked about how some people don't like recognition, and it's important to realize that as well. Engagement was a big one too, about how people need to be reached out and engaged. Have clear objectives and visions. It's really important to figure out what your role is in your club. It's important to also grow with your club and expect that not every club is the same. Someone who works with you and is down in it with you and not just up, directing. How everybody gets their own backgrounds and philosophies recognized, and the leader has to be open and able to listen. So inclusivity of everyone's opinions and respectful of that as well. Flexibility and the ability to change. And I think that's it for us.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kelly. Good job. All right. Well, my time is just about up. Let me leave you with just this thought. Good leadership requires thought, planning, preparation, and a willingness to try something new. And you got, rather than, I like that several of you brought that out. Not being bound by the past and have the confidence to take some risk. When we get to part 2, under team building, we're going to further develop the qualities and characteristics of volunteer leadership. So we look forward to that. Thank you very much. And I'll now pass the baton.
All right. Hey, thank you so much, Bruce. A great session. And I can tell you guys had some great conversation then. So our next section is My Rotary World, and Arturo, our #1 cheerleader, is going to be facilitating that. We've had 2 folks join us, Willis Sharmer from Roswell and Miguel Marquez from El Paso. So we'll do some introductions with you guys here a little bit later on, but Arturo, let's go ahead and let you take it away, sir.
Kathy, thank you so much. It's going to be hard to follow Dean Border, so it's always great to be here. Let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. So thank you, Bruce, for the great session. Let me see if I can come back to my Zoom. There we go. Let me see if you can see this. And if you can do a thumbs up, I will greatly appreciate it. Once you see it, perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about My Rotary World. And when I was thinking about what to include in this session, I saw a lot of pictures about the world, and I was very excited because we're all over the world. The sessions of goals that we're going to be discussing today is the purpose of Rotary. We're also going to be talking about understanding the organizational structure and also describe how the structure help us as Rotarians. Any questions up till now? We're good to go? Perfect. So let me go ahead and let's go to the next one. And I bring this in because, sometimes we hear about Rotary being about 1.2 million Rotarians. We have more than 35,000 clubs. In our district, as you know, and we have people represented different districts today, we have among over 500 districts in Rotary and over 34 zones. And that's what's composes of Rotary International. So the first question I would like to ask you is, why did you join your Rotary Club? So let's see, show of hands, and thank you, Bruce, for showing that how to do it. So Brad, you come off mute. So please go ahead and share with us why did you join Rotary? Carolyn, please go ahead.
Yes, initially I was invited by a friend of mine who's I was in business with, and so I joined Rotary to expand my business relationships. And after I left a couple of meetings later, it's not about business. It really was about fellowship, which I was grateful for.
Sorry, my baby came in and she was yelling. I put myself on mute, so I was talking, but thank you, Carolyn. That's really great. And, we sometimes forget that many of us, now the young Rotarians that are coming in to do that networking. I think Kelly had her hand raised. So Kelly, you can please go next.
I joined because I wanted to be more of a part of my community. I didn't realize at the time what I was joining, to be honest, and that it was more than just the community. It's, all across the world. And so, yeah, that's why I joined.
Thank you, Deborah.
What I was going to say was exactly what the last person said. So
okay,
I put my hand down because I also joined to be more a part of my community.
being part of the community. Thank you. That was Kelly before you. Thank you, Kelly. Steve, let's go ahead. Oh, you're
Okay,
there.
there we go. I
Perfect.
had to find, I moved on the screen. I was recruited by our club's champion recruiter, who unfortunately has had to move to out of state. But I joined for business reasons primarily. And as several other people have said, I fairly quickly came to shift my focus from acquiring business opportunities to serving in the community and joining in service projects and whatnot. And that's where my heart is these days.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. Let's do two more. We have Laura, and then we're going to do Michael, and then we'll go back. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to participate. So we'll get back to you, Donna, and we'll get back to you, Renee. So
Thank you, Arturo. I joined because when I started going to meetings for other reasons, I realized this really spoke to my desire to help throughout my community and throughout the world. Going back to, being a little campfire girl and doing volunteer work in Ecuador with Amigos de las Americas, it was just like, yeah, this is all that and more. So that's why I'm here.
thank you, Laura. Michael from White Sands, go ahead.
I moved here to New Mexico from Ohio, and I didn't know a soul in the town. So essentially, I joined just to meet some people in the community. One of my coworkers was a member of the club here, and he was my sponsor.
Thank you, Michael. So meeting people, business purposes, being part of the community. I think we all relate to that. The next question is, what benefits have you gained from Rotary? And by the way, the first picture is our club from Albuquerque Metro, where they were cleaning up a garden. So the bottom one is from the El Paso Sunrise Club. This project is already completed. And this is the first picture of the project, and they created a support the YMCA, and it's a great project. So let's hear it from, what benefits have you gained from Rotary? We heard, connections, we had networking. We can go back to Renee. Would you like to share on that? There we go.
Sure, I can share for that. And I can add in why I joined Rotary. It was a requirement of my job, which is a nice thing. But when I joined the White Sands Club, nice to meet you, Michael. It was Pat McCourt, those of you who remember, who was my city manager, and it was a requirement. And so there were about 6 or 7 city staff, depending on, police chief, all the different leaders and directors that were in Rotary. And I found that the benefits from that and getting to know even my coworkers as well and their hearts with the Rotary values was a great benefit.
Thank you, Renee. Donna?
The benefits I gained were great friendships and camaraderie.
Great friendships and camaraderie. Thank you, Donna. The next question is for everybody. And I think we always get this question. Has anyone ever asked you what Rotary is about? And what do you tell them?
Yeah.
And I'm going to post a picture that we don't want to just influence anybody who responds, but first things is I'm a proud member. And we want to make sure that we can share that. So Laura, you got your hand raised.
So I've been fortunate to go to a lot of different events and things where I've even talked to people about why they would want to join Rotary. And I really tailor my answer about Rotary or my promotion of Rotary to my audience. For example, if I'm talking to a lot of young leaders, I may talk about all the local opportunities and also some of the travel opportunities to help throughout the world. And, I really try and look and make things as interesting to my group as possible. I actually have pictures on my phone that I show people about some of the things that I've done and some of the projects we've been in. And so I just really want to connect with them on a personal level and hopefully get them emotionally involved in why they would want to join Rotary too.
Thank you, Lauren. That's a great answer. You know, it's not everybody's in Rotary because of the same thing. And I think if you can tailor that response, you know, to people that are interested in the community service, people that are interested, you know, like you said, the young leaders, how we can work on that and provide that information that is going to have that direct connection to them is going to be very important. So thank you, Laura, for doing all that. Kelly?
So a lot of people my age and a little bit younger have been asking me what is Rotary and why did I join it? And they really have never even heard of it for the most part. And it's been really fun to just explain to them, you know, the service aspect of everything and the community aspect, as well as the the opportunities for travel and just doing good in the world.
And how do they respond, Kelly? Once you tell them, you know, what are their reaction? Are they excited or they want to learn more?
A lot of them are excited and want to learn more. Some people I find are too busy to attend the meetings regularly. And I think that it's a commitment that a lot of them are afraid to make at this point in their life. And I don't fault them on that. It's just, I try to explain that it's flexible and, you know, it's come to a meeting, see what it's all about, and you can make your decision from there, kind of thing.
Thank you, Kellen. That's very important. You know, it's not as it used to be that it was very strict. Now Rotary has become very flexible. There's different type of clubs, as you may know, you know, the passport clubs, online, to make sure that people have different alternatives to engage, even if they don't have a lot of time. Tanya, you have your hand up.
Yes, I too am a retiree from the United States Air Force, nearly 25 years, and a lot of my acquaintances are officers, as I am. So a lot of my acquaintances are excited, as I was, that Rotary does outreach to the community. But what was most exciting when I share with them how Rotary has impacted my life, I said, well, you know, we've partnered with Toastmasters. And then they go, oh my gosh, you get a twofer. And I was like, yes, let me tell you more, you know, and that's how I get them in. And most of them are already leaders, but some of them I tell them, you know, you lead from where you are. And that's what Rotary allows you to do. You can lead, just if you stand, you can be planted. But if you don't want to, you're still going to bear fruit. But you can have other people pick your fruit, but you're going to bear fruit. But you're going to lead from right where you stand. And they love that aspect of the partnership. So you can actually get more of a cumulative relationship with leadership and community service. So that's how I approach that.
Thank you, Tanya. And like you say, you know, Rotary is involved with great organizations. You know, we're have that alliance with Toastmasters, but we're also working, you know, with the United Nations, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that as well, with different, you know, with many other organizations. So thank you, Tanya. That's a great way to approach it as well. So I'm going to ask if we know what the mission of Rotary is. Any volunteers would like to jump at this question? What the mission of Rotary is? You know, we've been in Rotary for many years. I've heard service.
Service to others.
Service to others. Anybody else would like to?
To do good in the world.
Do good in the world. And I'm going to put the mission, so it's easier for everybody. I'm not going to quiz you on this, but the mission of Rotary is to provide service to others. And, you know, we talked about that. We promote integrity and advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through its fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. So we see that everybody's comments of why they joined Rotary somehow are reflected in our mission. You know, being involved in the community, providing service, promoting integrity, the values of what we test. You know, this is something that we live by. And this is something that makes us proud of being Rotarians. The next question I'm going to ask is,
excuse me, Arturo.
yeah, yes, go ahead.
I was looking for that in our handout, I don't see that text.
I'll be glad to share that.
Okay,
I
appreciate
will be
it.
glad to share that. And the next question I will have, and this is a little bit, what are the 5 avenues of service that our clubs work at? And we know them by heart, but we might not know what their names are. So I'm going to give you a clue. So we have, and I have to update this, I'm sorry, 7 areas of focus now because we have environment. But the avenues of service, the first one is club service. Anybody would like to talk about club service and what they understand about what this avenue of service is? Yes, Doreen, welcome.
Thank you. Well, club service is how you run a good club and keep people engaged. It's having interesting programs and social events for your members. It might be a newsletter, and it's also the administrative and governance side of the club operations.
Perfect, Doreen. Thank you very much. And now that we have a example of club service, what do you think vocational service? I mean,
And Arturo, we're going to talk about vocational service in the next module if no one has
Oh.
an answer. No, it's okay.
okay, perfect. I just wanted to see, Donna, you have your hand up?
It encourages Rotarians to serve others through their vocations and to practice high ethical standards.
Excellent. Thank you, Donna.
All right, so
Community.
we'll skip the next module.
We'll skip the next module. You covered it in a response.
It's on page 15. It's on page 15 of the handouts.
Thank you, Donna. And community service is also promoting, serving the community throughout, our clubs. And international service, this is, having opportunities to collaborate with other clubs and with other countries. And I know Deborah has been doing this for many, many years with Guatemala projects and different areas. Deborah, would you like to share a little bit about the projects you're supporting in Guatemala, just to give an idea of an international service project? And I don't need to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I was working on medical teams in Guatemala in the 90s, and I was a triage nurse. And so I saw year after year the same problems that we were dealing with. And a lot of it had to do with cholera and the problems with lack of clean water. And so that's where it all started with doing international grants through Rotary to provide communities with clean water. There are now 22 communities that have the clean potable water and sanitation. And then we branched out to other types of projects, educational and health projects, things like in teaching, providing training for Mayan midwives and decreasing the maternal child death rate during a pregnancy and birth. So this has just expanded. And what's been really fun is that no one club can do, at least in my view, these projects by themselves. We really need partnerships. And so there are about 25 different clubs in our district that we've banded together to pool our funds. So it's not just one club doing it, it's a whole bunch of clubs, and that makes it extra special.
Thank you, Deborah.
And Deborah, don't forget the Guatemala component. All the clubs in Guatemala we partner with.
Correct.
That's the
Thank you,
international aspect of it. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve. And from our end, I can share the experience of our club this year. And from the Camino Real, we got a lot of support from Nancy's club and from Andy's club, El Paso club. We were able to remodel one of the children's center in Juarez. And, we're working closely with all the clubs in Ciudad Juarez to remodel the children's center that supports about 50 children in the state of Chihuahua. So like Deborah said, this partnership allows Rotary to go to other places. So this is an international service avenue that we want to talk about. Also, we have the youth service avenue. Anybody would like to pitch in on what do you think that avenue does? Laura?
So I just wanted to mention, we've got the Interact clubs and the Rotaract clubs, which are great ways to provide service opportunities, but there are so many ways as Rotary clubs that we can help our youth with other opportunities. We have the International Rotary Youth Exchange. This year, I do a lot of volunteer work with other organizations serving youth. And I actually had a young man who got his Eagle Scout last night. I was on his board of review, and he told me how much he appreciated the Rotary Club providing opportunities for them to get their service hours in towards their next race. So there's just so many ways we can reach out and help the youth in our communities as Rotarians.
Thank you, Laura. Sunny, were you going to mention something?
Well, I will if no one else does. We don't want to forget RILA Youth Exchange, of course, RILA Interact, and the 4-way test essay contest are youth programs. And just so you know, this is kind of new, but we're peeling off Rotaract from youth programs since it's really about young adults. It's about people 18 and up, and they are becoming more and more a part of Rotary proper. So we're kind of in a transition on that one, but everything Laura said is true. We have so much difference to make in mentoring and involving young people in service in our communities and around the world.
Thank you, Governor. Nancy, you had your hand up.
Yes. So I also wanted to mention how, like, our president right now mentions that he was a scholarship member recipient from Rotary and was very grateful. And so now that he's, an adult and has come back to serve Rotary, he's grateful because that helped him in his youth. And now he's coming back to serve and help in our club. And so sometimes our scholarships are given to youth and we're like, well, they're young, they're not going to remember, but they do remember. 10, 12, 15 years later, they're coming back and looking for Rotary Club to join to give back for the scholarship opportunity that they had. So I thought that was interesting when our club president mentioned that. I had not been aware of that.
And Jasser, it was an interesting story because Jasser went to RILA and he was a sponsor by El Paso Club, and now he's the president of El Paso Club, which, you can see the full circle of keeping in touch with our, the people like the governor mentioned with RILA. We have different venues, Rotaract, Interact, and us as Rotary. That's a great way to also have, recruitment on our coming years. So definitely we got to keep in touch with the students as Nancy was mentioning, when we provide scholarships, to follow up with them, see how they're doing, tell them about the opportunities to continue engage. But the youth service, this is the way how we can get our future generations involved and serving our community. So thank you, Nancy, for sharing that great story. And now
can I just say one quick thing before?
Yes, Laura, go right ahead.
I just wanted to give everybody on this meeting a heads up that I had a very nice gentleman call me from the Rotary International magazine because he found my number in the newspaper or something. And he asked about international projects that were not part of a global grant. And so I immediately told him about the center down in Juarez. And he got hold of Gavino, and they, I think they're going to do a little article on it. But that's another way that we get future Rotarians, because I know with that particular center, we've even had students who graduated and come back to help. And I think that's just a phenomenal program Camino Real does. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for directing our way. And please, this is not a commercial, but just keep your eyes open for page 8 or 9 in the coming magazine. We might have an article. So thank you, Laura, for sending them our way. We have been trying to reach them for many, many years, so we appreciate that. So thank you, thank you. And we're going to talk a little bit about the structure of Rotary. Rotary, when we get in, we were listening before, once we join a club, we feel, that we're part of, the small club. But when we see the dimensions of Rotary, it's just incredible. Our district, our zones, Rotary International. And as you may know, I was talking about the over 1.2 million Rotarians and over 35,000 clubs around the world. You probably heard this, but the incoming president of Rotary International would like for us to grow this membership. This 1.2 million have gone for many years now. And he's asking, the campaign is each one bring one. So if all of us will bring another Rotarian, we can definitely help this mission to increase Rotary worldwide. So this is something that is going to be our homework for the coming year. So please bring one, or if you can bring more, but that's the next president's homework for all of us. And as you know, we have our district, amazing district, 5520. That's among 500 districts, and our zones, and I'm going to be talking about the zone a little bit shortly next, but there's about 34 zones around the world. This is how you can identify how large, Rotary International had to break it down into zones and to districts and to clubs to have that structure that allows us to collaborate and to strengthen. Today we have 16 clubs from 4 different states, from 3 different countries. And this is I think, the enriching part of Rotary. And this last year, we talked about the challenges that we all had, with the pandemic and all, but it has also given us opportunities to be able to connect from people around the world. We have the West El Paso Club, I think, we have Miguel Marquez here, is he? Miguel is with us. They've been able to get speakers from all over the world, just thanks to technology. And we seem, and the governor won't let me lie, that, we foresee that technology is going to be a part of our lives at the upcoming meetings. We're going to continue having hybrid meetings. So take advantage of these opportunities. You can have, today we have representatives from different states. Somebody, and I'm going to try to remember, I think it was Laura that mentioned that, before this type of trainings had to be in person. The same thing happened to me. Unfortunately, I was not able to travel. I was not able to participate, but this year I've been in all of them, which is awesome. And if I know that if I start looking for other trainings, we're going to be able to get it, from Rotary International. So we're gonna have this opportunity to be in touch with all the different clubs, different people, and a lot of you, as you mentioned before, like to travel, and every place you go, you're gonna find a Rotary club. So that's also an advantage from our structure and from the Rotary. So we're going to talk about the districts. Why do we have districts? And you can see the picture of our district. We serve New Mexico and West Texas. Why do you think we have districts and the structure of Rotary? Anybody? Laura?
So that we can work regionally together and put programs together that are common purpose for our areas, and also so we can be close enough to actually get together sometimes.
And our district has currently 67 clubs, Madam Governor. Is that the accurate number? Perfect. We have 67 clubs. Tanya, you want to comment?
Yes, I think we have districts because we want to strengthen and maximize our action arm for community service. We can actually do that in numbers. Just like we mentioned about leadership, we have a vision. We're very strategic as an organization in how we conduct our business of community service. So we're greater in numbers, leading towards a common goal.
Thank you, Tanya. We're going to be talking about some of the strategic areas of Rotary coming up. So that's a great pathway to that. We'll be talking about that in a minute. And the next question, I think our governor is going to like this. What does our district governor do? And the assistant governors, you know, they do miracles, but how can we put it in simple words that for all of us to know what they do? You know, they oversee the district, they oversee the 67 clubs. They work very closely with their presidents or club presidents. For all of you that have been a club president, Governor Sonny has been doing a great job and participating in all the different presidents council that we have. We have one in the northern area, we have one in El Paso area, and there's more presidents councils forming in our district to facilitate what Tanya was talking about, that strategic vision and that collaboration. And we've seen, you know, this year of the pandemic, how presidents have come together to share best practices, to share experiences, share, you know, ideas and ways that we can work together in the difficult times. Governor, would you like to mention anything about all the other things that you do?
Well, there's actually a list of like 14 accountabilities in the manual of procedure, but I think we could summarize it by saying that in the process of visiting clubs and putting on a district conference and managing the administrative aspects of the district, the primary purpose of the district governor is to look to see what's needed and make sure it gets provided.
Thank you, Madam Governor. And we also have assistant governors and lieutenant governors that support the job of the district governor. And they're basically in touch with the different presidents of the areas. You know, we have a big structure, and in our district, as you can see, the distance are pretty big. So the assistant governors support our district governor to ensure that, you know, how our clubs are running and that everything is going smoothly. Why do we think that the districts are important to our clubs? Why are the districts so important to our clubs? You know, talked about support. Governor Sonny was mentioning, you know, providing guidance, providing support. We get funding also from the district. You know, there's district grants that we can apply to, and all different opportunities, as well as, you know, the different areas we see. Miguel, do you want to comment on that, Miguel?
Yeah, one of the things, in my opinion, is we get a lot of support and guidance, but one of the things that you mentioned, the grants, we have a big fiduciary responsibility to the donors and to the community because of the grants we get. So we get a lot of support, and they ensure that we follow those rules and bylaws and things like that. So that's very important. Why do we belong to them? And they help us do the mission by areas, but at the same time, you know, keep that fiduciary responsibility.
And that is very important, Miguel. Thank you very much. And you know, Governor Tom and now Governor Linda have helped us make sure that we have the accountability, the reporting times, and that we comply with the guidelines, because as you said, we have a great responsibility to our donors, to our communities. And this is what makes the value of Rotary. You know, that when people invest in Rotary, they know that it's going to be for a good cause and it's going to be well managed. So thank you, Miguel, for that observation. And how can our clubs learn about and contact the district? For the newer members, have you heard about District 5520? You know, sometimes we learn it in kind of like the other way around. We get into the clubs and then we learn through all of this trainings, but District 5520, it's our district, and we're part of like I said, 67 clubs, but we have a lot of tools. One of them is all the training that Jeff and his team have been doing, you know, with RLI, all the different type of trainings that have been provided. We also have a website that Donate keeps running. We have the newsletter, social media, and we try to connect with everybody through different outlets. So please, if you haven't heard about 5520, go right now, Facebook, like and share our District 5520. And I'm going to talk about where you can find our district website in a moment. And this is important. And to be honest with you, the zones, we're part of a big zone, which is called the Big West. Our zone has, we're part of zones 26 and 27. And, I was really in shock when I see the numbers of our zone. We're talking about close to 70,000 members. We're talking about 1,700 Rotary clubs, about 170 Rotaract clubs, 1,100 Interact clubs. There's 30 districts, 1 province, 14 states, and 2 countries. That's how big our zone is. And this year, we have had a lot of representatives from our district that are going to be supporting the zone. So we got to be very proud, of everybody's work. This is something that, when you see the numbers, it's just, 70,000 members. I was just blown away. It's incredible. And today, we're going to be talking about the different roles of and I'm going to ask for support from the past district governors because I know that they know this by heart. So, what are the role of the Rotary International directors? Doreen, would you like to jump in?
Sure. There's a director for each zone, and they serve on the Rotary International Board of Directors. And, that's why membership is so important in North America, because the number of members and clubs we have determines our representation on the board of directors.
Thank you, Doreen.
Mm-hmm.
And does anybody know what the Rotary coordinator is responsible for? Anyone?
I'll jump in.
Thank you, Sonny.
Because I don't think we normally, as we go about our club Rotary life, have much contact with these people, but the zone coordinators regionally empower the governors, the governor line, the district committee members, and ultimately the Rotarians to do the work that they want to do to make Rotary work. So, for example, if you have a question about the Rotary brand and how to use it to put up a road sign in your community, or if you have a question about the best practices for bringing in members or having the foundation work in your community, the Rotary coordinators are there to empower you. They do some training, and they are also a huge resource. Doreen, would you add anything to that?
No, I think you did it well. Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. And there's different. Yeah.
I'm sorry. How do we get in touch with them to get this help from them?
www.zone2627.org.
And we will be glad to, as on the final slide, we're going to talk about how to get in contact with everybody, and it's right there for y'all to see it.
And they have an amazing website with lots of resources, a virtual library, and a whole set of links to things for membership and foundation. Definitely worth checking out.
Definitely. And yes, Jeff.
So I think this is true, and Sonny and Doreen and others can correct me, but I was always confused when I would see these titles because one just said Rotary Coordinator and that was it. And the others say Rotary Foundation Coordinator and Public Image Coordinator. It's my understanding that the person who is the Rotary Coordinator, you can kind of insert the word membership in there because there isn't a title, apparently, this Rotary Membership Coordinator. So the Rotary Coordinator, correct me if I'm wrong, is more membership than others. And then you've got a Rotary Foundation Coordinator and a Public Image Coordinator. Is that correct?
That's certainly accurate. You can also call on the Rotary coordinator for pretty much miscellaneous questions.
Right.
You know, and there are several.
Right.
They're
How-
more of a generalist.
Yeah, more of a generalist. But all of them exist to empower us, and especially you.
Thank you, Governor. And yeah, we're going to see, you know, like Jeff was mentioning, the Rotary Foundation coordinator who's going to be overseeing everything related to the foundation, the grants, and the different district zone funds or international funding, and the public image coordinator that works directly with the district public image representative or chair in the district. And like Sunny mentioned, there's always trainings available, and they want to make sure that we're complying with the image requirements from Rotary International, and they have great tools on their site. So I'll be glad to put that in. Thank you, Steve, for that comment. So do we believe that the zone is important to the clubs? Why or why not? Do we think it might be or might not be important to our clubs?
Artur, this is Nikki. I know I'm not really fully participating, but one of the things that I think is really important to the clubs is that the zone representatives are the ones that sit on the board of directors of Rotary International, and they vote on our behalf for our clubs. So yes, they are very important to us.
That is correct. They're the Rotary International directors. They're the ones that sit on the board. So thank you, Nikki. That's truly important. So they vote for us in the general assembly. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. So why is Rotary International necessary? We all ask that question. Why do we think it's necessary? We started. Yes, Kathy?
I was going to say, with something this, you know, an organization this massive, internationally, 1.2 million members, you've got to have something, someone, some organization, and you know, that can manage and just help, just with the organization of everything. So I appreciate that we've got great people working within Rotary International. We've, you know, the president on through all the levels then that provide training and opportunities for organization, and just keeping us all on track and on the right path.
Thank you, Kathy. And I'm going to go a little bit faster because I think I'm running out of time. Oh, yes, Steve, go ahead.
I was just going to say, they're also an important focal point for fundraising, annual fund, etc.
Yes.
The End Polio campaign and all the different funding that they do. So, and that was what I was going to talk about next, the advantages of being an international organization. You know, we're, I think, the only organization that have a seating in the United Nations. That's how important Rotary International is worldwide. And they work, you know, with Gates Foundation and different other international organizations that support many of the areas of interest that Rotary has. And, you know, does RLI control the rule of clubs? No, they guide us. I think they provide the guidance and they provide the support that we need to comply, you know, and make sure that we're doing things right in our clubs. And I'm going to go briefly because I see time's running out. There's a strategic plan for Rotary. And yes, we have international strategic priorities and goals. The three main areas are support and strengthen the clubs, focus and increase humanitarian service, and enhance public image and awareness. So I'm going to go briefly. There's about 17 goals that are Rotary Strategic Plan has, and supporting and strengthening the clubs. You can see some of the main points here. You know, retain the current members, which is going to be one of our areas that we need to focus on. Increase the current club membership, start new clubs, and increase the numbers of female members under 40, and retractors joining Rotary. My alarm just got in. Isabella came and want to say hi. The focus and increase humanitarian service, you know, to eradicate polio, increase sustainable service focus on programs and activities, increase collaboration with other organizations, create significant projects, increase cash and DDF contributions to End Polio Now, increase local, international, district, and global grants, and also increase contribution to the annual fund. And lastly, enhance public and image awareness is to unify image and brand awareness to publicize action-oriented service, promote core values, emphasize vocational service, and encourage clubs to promote their networking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share this presentation so you can have it on hand. And lastly, we were talking about how to contact. This goes to Steve's question. First, we have the Rotary International website. We have the Club Runner, and we have different tools for all of our members that are accessible to you. We also have the Rotary Foundation Contact Center, in our geographic area. We have the Zone website, which is, I'll put it on the chat, it's zone2627.org, and the Rotary Leadership Institute, which we're in today, and also our district website. And the district website, they're normally Rotary and the number of our district, and we'll be glad to provide all those links to you. And thank you very much for your time. It's 9:30 sharp. I didn't want to take a lot of time. Yes.
Just a quick mention, if I may, that the Rotary strategic plan has been updated and streamlined and is available on rotary.org. It's actually really worth checking out. It's very empowering. There are now 4 strategic priorities, and they are basically increasing our impact, enhancing our reach, expanding our reach, maximizing member engagement, and adapting and innovating. So check it out, everyone. It's really powerful.
Thank you for that additional information, and Governor Sunny.
Thank you, Sunny.
And it's good to see our youngest RLI graduate.
Hi, Isabella. So good to see you. Thank you, Arturo. That was a great job. Just great.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Isabella.
Hi, Isabella. Hi.
Oh my, she's growing up so quickly. All right, so great presentations this morning with Bruce and Arturo, and we now have the opportunity for a 20-minute break. I encourage you to